Hi, this is Janet with Paper and Spark, and today I'm here to walk you through how to use the inventory spreadsheet, especially for vintage sellers. Now, this spreadsheet is geared for those of you who sell vintage goods on Etsy, but it will work for anyone who sells vintage items or really unique resell items in general. I have a separate spreadsheet that is made for resellers who sell, who buy wholesale large quantities of goods, and I also have a separate spreadsheet that's geared especially for those who sell handmade items. But this one is made specifically with vintage sellers in mind. If you're looking to purchase, it's available at paperandspark.com. Now remember, your purchase includes this spreadsheet file, which can be used in Numbers, Google Sheets, or Excel. I'll be using it in Excel on a Mac here for the tutorials, and it also includes PDF instructions with screenshots for how to use it. And these video tutorials are going to walk you through how to enter items onto the spreadsheet, how to use the main inventory tab here, and how this data is going to travel to these sales tabs, and finally how you can use the amounts the sales tab will generate for you for tax purposes. I also have two bonus videos that will walk you through how to enter one currently listed vintage inventory on Etsy, how you can dump that info in here based on some imported Etsy reports, and two, how to dump in previously sold Etsy orders, previously sold vintage items on Etsy into this spreadsheet. So if you are looking, if you have just bought this spreadsheet and you're looking to get it set up to date, you have some previous Etsy sales or you have some currently listed Etsy items, I suggest watching those two bonus videos first and then coming back to this one to continue once you've dumped that data in there and saved yourself a little bit of time and energy. If that does not apply to you and you are starting fresh with your vintage Etsy shop or vintage business, then just continue watching and we'll get started with how to enter your purchases and your vintage items into the spreadsheet. Now, you want to make it a goal to enter your vintage purchases on a consistent basis to keep this spreadsheet up to date, because it's only going to be a useful tool for your business if you're consistently updating it. Entering your vintage purchases into this inventory tab is pretty straightforward. It's pretty self-explanatory. You've got a product ID number if you want to assign an SKU or some sort of ID to your individual product. You've got a category column so that you can set categories for your items like, clocks, jewelry, china, etc. And we'll cover why categories are useful for filtering and sorting later on in another video. You've got the item's title, just its basic name. You want to enter the purchase price. That's a very important component of this spreadsheet, is to enter how much you paid for it. And you'll always want to enter your actual purchase price. That means taking any shipping into account, any sales tax you might have paid, or any discounts that you received. You want to enter the actual purchase price. The source or vendor of where you bought your vintage item from, the purchase date, which is very important, and I'll explain that in a moment, the physical location of where you might have this item stored, if that's helpful to you, the price that you list it for on Etsy or whatever storefront you're working in, the price that you actually sell it for, because I know sometimes your sales price can end up being different from the price you list it. The date you list it, just to help keep you organized with what you have currently listed in your shop or what is waiting on your shelf, waiting to be listed. The date sold, which is another important date that's going to affect the rest of your spreadsheet. And then this is a formula in this column where the spreadsheet will automatically calculate your profit margin for that item. And your profit margin is simply going to be the purchase price, how much you created that. And your profit margin is simply going to be the price that you actually sold the item for. minus how much it cost you. So if I'm going to enter some examples in here, then we see that this item gave me a profit margin of $20. All right, now a quick note about the dates, and I will cover this more when we discuss these sales tabs. You want to make sure you're entering a purchase date here, because this is what tells your sales tab to include the purchase price of that item in this 2016 purchases row. All right, these are important numbers for your tax return. You're going to need to be able to report how much you spent on inventory this year, and this cell is all based on the dates that you're entering here. So if you leave this blank, if you don't enter a purchase date, nothing's going to travel to those tabs. And then the same thing applies for your dates sold. Once you list an item as sold, then its sales price and its purchase price are going to flow over to the applicable place on your pink sales tab. So now I see I made a $30 sale in June and I sold something that was worth $10, something that cost me $10. So again, that's just a quick blurb on why it's important to keep these purchase date and sale dates up to snuff.